I want to talk about my human design journey and where I currently stand with my beliefs regarding the system and the culture and the community. So, human design has got some publicity thanks to the Love is Blind UK season 2 or something, where a contestant noted that he was a human design coach and he needed to follow his splenic awareness, and there was a lot of questioning what he meant exactly, and I went on YouTube to see what the conversation was, and I came across a video and I was super impressed by how this channel not only described human design but also brought up very valid criticisms in a elegant way, not in an attacking way, and for the most part not in a ridiculing kind of way. So shout out to that channel. And it made me think about where I stand 4 years into my own journey as a reflector who is a certified living your design guide with the International Human Design School. I chose to go the traditional route and get credentials because I thought it would be important in working with corporations and, high status individuals, which was my goal as the rare reflector. And I want to talk about a little bit, about my experience with the certification program. My teacher was very nice. She was very competent, answered all the questions, and obviously very deeply rooted inside of the system and the teachings. She was a direct student of Ra Uru Hu. And for my midterm practicum, I had to present on the sacral center. I just mentioned that I wanted to bring up my own experiences with the sacral center because as a reflector, there are times during the month where I experience the sacral activations temporarily. And my teacher was just upset and confused, not understanding what I meant by my experience with the sacral center. And she just told me, Julie, you will never be a generator. You will never experience the sacral center in its entirety. It is not comfortable for me to be challenged that way. My experience is challenged, questioned. I had to say a caveat during my presentation that although I am not a generator and I don't know the extent of what it feels like to have sacral activations, I just had to clearly state I don't really know 100% what I'm talking about, but I can empathize, more or less. And then for my final practicum, I reported on, the reflector aura because I felt comfortable doing that and I wanted to teach the class. And if you want to watch that presentation, you can. It's on my YouTube channel. And again, I needed to go over my slides with my instructor beforehand. I think she definitely wanted to make sure I was sticking with the standard, conventional ways of them teaching it, and made sure my knowledge on it was on the right and true and narrow path of the traditional ways. And she had kind of an issue with some of the things that I wanted to talk about, and we emailed back and forth, and finally we both understood what was going on. She said that I was the first student to present the material in such a way, which I am very proud of. I am a pioneer. I think about things differently yeah, so if you watch that video, it was the first time that the reflector was spoken about in such a way in a traditional IHDS certification program, namely the quantum mandala and blah, blah, blah. I don't want to get technical. But again, I needed to fight my way and explain my logic, do things that I didn't feel was necessarily needed or even maybe appropriate. But I did it anyway, and it was fine. But when I got my certification, I've been a guide for a few years now, doing readings across my local area. They're super fun. I go to fairs, and I am very in the flesh and blood with it. I love meeting with people in person. This brings me to my next point about this human design culture. It's largely online, and it's largely being infiltrated with AI, because the way people are using this tool makes it so AI can be your reader. You can plug in all of your gates, lines, all of your planetary placements, and AI will configure as, best as it can at this point, because it's still learning things like complex systems like human design. It is what it is. You go with the flow and advance with technology, else you get left behind. And but I think having AI read your chart fully describes a system that generated the chart as not all-encompassing, as faulty. Because if AI can be your reader, there is no reading of the actual soul. AI is unable in 2026 to read someone's soul. And what I mean by that is having the intuition in real time to gather information from the person that you are speaking with, to get to know them on a much deeper level that is not perceptible. Some people tap into the Akashic records when they do this. Some people just read body language. Skeptics will say any good tarot reader is just a very attuned body language reader. If AI can just read your body graph chart and know exactly who you are, that speaks more to the limitations of the system. And I find that people are okay with embracing these limitations that they might not otherwise. This is true for strategy and authority. In the video that I mentioned before, she brings up very good examples of how this could be harmful to people, like the generator stuck in an abusive relationship, not feeling that they can initiate their departure, or a projector feeling that they are good enough to be promoted and not pursuing that advancement because they had not been invited yet. Things like that. And what she didn't even get into was the PHS side, where Ra-Uru-Hu was literally instructing people on what they can eat, when they can eat, what temperature their food needs to be. When I told my husband that I was letting go of some of these human design beliefs, faith-based beliefs, him and I discussed kind of why. And I made the argument, oh, he never literally told people what to do. He was just giving them a tool to bring that trust back into themselves. And he brought up the PHS. He said, well, aren't you supposed to just eat hot liquids, or, your hot thirst? You need to have your food heated up. And I'm like, oh yeah, he does actually say all of that. And I have never really brought that up in my readings. And small caveat, as a certified guide, I am not even technically allowed to say that I provide readings because I am not qualified to provide, quote unquote, the readings, the analysis. I'm only qualified to put on LYD workshops. And I signed that disclosure, or that rules. I signed it. But when I do these sessions with people, I would not go into the substructure because it's just too woo-woo for me. I mean, it depends on a difference of 7 minutes. The base can change every 7 minutes or so, or so the accuracy just might not be there. And yeah, to just deny a baby warm milk because apparently they need cold milk. I'm sorry. Or if they need a loud environment to drink that milk in the middle of the night. How far are you willing to go to follow this man and what he deems to be the mechanics of true nature? I still think it's an extremely elegant system, and I'm most fascinated by the geometry and how it relates to the chestahedron. And that is what I am studying now, what I am investigating now, and what has always drawn me to it anyway. I'm learning more about physics. So in physics, there are different levels of complex systems, and the surface level is the interpretation. And Ra brought us, spoon-fed us, all of the layers, including his interpretation. And to me, that is like the sociology level of the hierarchy of sciences. And I am more interested in the geometry, the 88 degrees, the geometric structure of the body graph, the crystals of consciousness, and what does that mean as it relates to dark matter and dark energy. All very woo-woo, but physics, as you know, has become more woo-woo. Let me know where you stand. Has the publicity from Love is Blind kind of made you look at this in a different way now that more of the outside world is bringing in their 2 cents of how crazy it is, how faith-based it is, how cult-like it is, or not? What do you think? Where are you at, my critical thinkers and skeptics? So long.